Hello. Nice to see you all. It's been a few weeks since I've been in here. So happy 2022. A big, huge thank you to those of you who filled out my recent survey. I'm really grateful for your feedback, your input. And on that survey, one of the things that came through was that I had asked all of you what relationship is most pressing for you right now. I talk so much in this space about your relationship with your partner, maybe your child, your aging parent that you're assisting, whatever it might be. And somewhat surprising to me, over 80% of you said that you're most challenged with a relationship with yourself. So it's not always about the other person. The thing that is so wonderful about that is it means that you all are practicing radical accountability, because what you then understand and know is that until your relationship with yourself is in total alignment, coherence, connection to your heart, until that happens, you can't have the kind of relationship that you want with anybody else. And so, there's this saying, as above, so below. So as things happen external to me in those relationships, they're going to show up internal to me as well. So we're going to talk about the number one thing that's the most important thing for you to do in order to have a solid relationship with yourself. Hi, Eleanor. Nice to see you here. Because when you have this one thing, everything else lines up, because that's usually how it works if you're focused on the one thing. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Jenny Glick. I'm a relationship mentor. I have lots of letters behind my name, which are becoming less and less important because I do this work with women who are motivated and interested and committed to shift their life. Most women who decide to do this work with me are in midlife because they've gotten to a place where they've tried all the things and nothing has worked, quote unquote. And usually it's because they're focusing external to them. And what we do is focus internal to you, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome to this space. So the number one thing for you to do to improve your relationship with yourself is to have devotion to yourself. Because what you devote yourself to has your attention. And what most people do, what I see women do, is they devote themselves to everybody else and everything else first, right? And so there's nothing wrong with devoting yourself to a spiritual practice, a religious practice, your family, right? Like we devote ourselves to many things. And if we lose ourselves in that devotion, what happens is we get put at the very bottom of the list, right? And so everything else happens. The baseboards get cleaned before you attend to that relationship with you. It requires, and we don't love the word discipline, but it requires discipline. That's what devotion is. And for some of us, I have a robust spiritual practice. And for those of us who have religious practices, spiritual practices, people who have health practices where they get up and go to the gym at 4:00 in the morning, I used to do that as well. It's a type of devotion. And often when you start a devotional path, it's work at the beginning because you don't really want to get out of bed at 4:00 in the morning to go to the gym, or you don't really want to go volunteer at your church or synagogue. You don't really feel like sitting on your own meditation cushion. But what happens is, as it pertains to learning how to love ourselves, right? When I fall in love with myself, I want to get up and do those things that nourish me. Oh, hi, Tammy. Thank you for being a part of our community. I'm grateful that you're here. And so devotion starts out for most of us as a kind of discipline, right? I'm devoted also to my business, to the work that I do. And there's discipline that's required in that. There are tactical things that I need to do in order to run an online business. So there's discipline there, but there's the devotion is the love, right? The call, the mission that each of us are on to show up and be the contribution that we want to be here on this planet during this one beautiful life that we have. And at some point, as we stay in relationship with that, there's Jane. She's saying hello. She has something to say. I'm not going to yell at her because that wouldn't be very kind. So anyway, as we practice that discipline, what happens along the way is we fall in love with ourselves, and then we want to get up. We want to do the thing. We want to pray, meditate, journal, chant, dance, go to yoga, eat good food, drink enough water, have friends around us that help us feel like the highest version of ourselves. Because as we are disciplined, it allows for that devotion to grow. Does this make sense to you all? And if we don't practice that discipline, and some of you said in my survey that I just sent out that you have a hard time showing up, being and doing the version of you that you know you could be that would help launch you into your higher self. And what I have found is that in order to get that leg up, what is so helpful is to have community, to have a guide, to have clarity, a map. Right now I'm learning to play the harmonium. I think you can see it. It's there in the back of my office. And I've been carrying around this harmonium for a period of time. I do not have the discipline or the devotion to learn how to play it on my own. So I was trying to watch YouTube videos and trying to practice, and it wasn't happening. So I would go weeks or months without touching it. And so what did I do? Because I know that how it is that we grow devotion to something is we have to fall in love with it. I hired a teacher and I meet with her every Thursday morning. And because I have that discipline, that container, I'm starting to fall in love with the thing that I wanted to learn how to do, but I wasn't loving it when I was trying to do it on my own, because I was sitting there playing it and it wasn't making the sounds that I wanted it to sound like. And I felt frustrated about the chanting, and the YouTube videos weren't speaking to me. And so then I didn't want to do it at all. Do you see how there's relevance for this in maybe how it is that you do your relationship with yourself? That if you don't have that discipline, if you don't have that container, if you're not sure what it is that you're supposed to be doing, then the easiest thing to do is to stop doing it, right? So find a discipline, a structure that's healthy masculine. The container, those of you who work with me hear me talk about a container a lot. Find that healthy container so that you can open up. That's where our hearts open, in healthy containers. Our hearts then can open to love the experience, whether it's an experience with getting up and going to the gym in the morning, or playing an instrument, or learning how to dance, or being in a heart-centered relationship with yourself, which means no longer terrorizing yourself. It means no longer bullying yourself, no longer feeding yourself those internal stories that really perpetrate experiences of fear, anxiety, worry that are not an act of self-love. For many of us, all of those feelings are superhuman to have, right? We're all going to have those, but to run programs in your mind that take you to that place over and over and over again, that's damaging to your relationship with yourself, right? So I hope that that's helpful for those of you who expressed challenge with the relationship with yourself. One of the reasons why I do the work that I do and the way that I do it is it's so important for you to pivot your internal relationship with yourself in order for you to change the relationships outside of you. Having worked traditionally as a therapist for a very long time, I saw firsthand that if we focus out here, and many of you have done that, and you focus out here with the scripted ways of speaking to each other, doing the 5 love languages, all the things that you do out here, it's okay. But ultimately, your relationship will always be a mirror reflection of what you have going on in here. That's how it works. And so doing this, and I don't even want to call it work. It's your growth. It's why I call it like your 2.0 self, your higher self, this up leveling of yourself. You doing that first is so important, so that when you do this, doing new ways of communicating with your partner, all of that, when you do that external work, then it actually can take hold. You can get traction. Otherwise, what's happening in here has such a powerful pull. It's like a magnet, and it will pull you back to that old state. So if you're living in a state of scarcity, of bullying yourself, of feeling unsafe, of feeling like you're not enough, that is going to have a really powerful pull as you try to do the new things out here. And that's why you keep falling back. Does that make sense? So if you're watching this on replay, please hashtag replay, post any comments, questions that you might have. Love to hear your voice. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being in this space. For those of you who might be interested in stepping into the container that I have created that is newly revamped for 2022. It used to be an 8-week curriculum. So you all heard me talk about the 8-week curriculum all the time. And it's 10 weeks because this is the year for me of elegance. This is the year of ease and spaciousness. And so we don't need to try to cram everything into 8 weeks. So I will be walking with you for 2.5 months as you embody these really healthy, integrated practices to align to the highest version of yourself in your own heart, in your own being, so that you can show up in those ways with your partner, your child or children, your community, for those of you who are community leaders, and in your business, in your relationship with money, because when you change in here, everything changes. So thank you again for being here. DM me if you're interested in my VIP Relationship Mastery course. I would be happy to ask you some questions, see if what I do is an excellent fit for you. And if it is, you can get started immediately. Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.